So, good evening and welcome back, guys. My name is Akriti, and today we are going to solve one question on linked list. Okay, so this is our today's question. This is question number 21, merge to sorted array. Okay, so in this question, it is given that we are given with the two linked lists. We are given with the two linked lists, list 1 and list 2, and what we have to do, we have to merge these two linked lists which are already sorted individually, and we have to merge both of them and make a linked list which will also be in a short which will also be sorted. Okay, so we have to return the merged linked list. As you can see in the diagram given below, this is the linked list 1 and this is the linked list 2. Then the final linked list which we are going to return will be looking like this. Like we have merged both of them in a shortened manner, and now we are returning the merged linked list. Okay, so in the examples we can see this is the list 1 where elements are 1 2 and 4, and this is the list 2 where elements are 1 3 and 4, and the merged linked list which we are going to return is containing the element of both the linked list in a shortened manner. Okay, so these are some more example which you can refer. So now let's start with the question first of all. So as you can see here in the comment, the structure of a list node is given where list node is a single node of a linked list. Okay, that this is how we are going to define our node of a linked list of any of these linked lists. Okay, so in the list node you will be having a value and you will be having a next pointer. So as you guys already know, in any linked list, we only have a value which is the data which we store inside a linked list, and we have a pointer which is pointing to the next element of the linked list. Okay, so it is given. Okay, and list node is not a entire list, it is just a node of a list. Okay, so how we are going to approach this problem? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a yet another linked list which we are going to return as a result of our question. So we will be making another linked list, and let's call it a dummy linked list. So in the starting we will be making only one node. Okay, because in the starting we don't have anything to return with our list, so we will be starting with a node, with a single node which we are going to call a dummy node, and in dummy node we are going to store any garbage value, say -1, which is not in use of course. So we are going to store a garbage value in our dummy node. And now after this what I'm going to do, I'm going to compare, I'm going to point two pointer, my two temporary pointer, let's call them temp1 and temp2, to the first element of both of these lists which we are given with, like list 1 and list 2. So I'm going to point my two temporary pointer to the head of both these linked lists. Like I'm going to point temp1 to the head of list 1, and I'm going to point temp2 to the head of list 2. Okay, now I will be comparing both comparing the data of both these pointer. Okay, so when I will be comparing the data, I'll see which is the data in the which list is minimum. Like I will be comparing the data of the first node of list 1, and I will be compare with the data of the first node of the list 2. So if the data of the first node of the list 1 is less than the data of the first node of the list 2, then firstly I'm going to store the data of node 1 of list 1 in my dummy node. Oh, okay, so this is somehow difficult to explain you like this, so let's start with the solution. Meanwhile I will be explaining you each and every step. So what we had to do first, we have to make a dummy list. So let's call um, this node star dummy node. Okay, pvg equals to new list node, and let's give value -1. Okay, This is a way of introducing a new node in any list. Okay, so this is a dummy node, and you can say a dummy list where we have only a single node, which we are calling a dummy node. Okay, so we have a single list. Now I'm going to declare two pointer which will be pointing to the head of both the list. So list node star temp1. As I was saying, I will be declaring two pointer which is going to be temp1 and temp2. So list one, list node star temp2, and I will be pointing my temp2 to the second list, to the head of the second list. Okay, so this is pointing to with the head of the second list. So as you can see here, what we are given, list 1 and list 2. So list 1 and list 2 are not the entire linked list, it is just a pointer pointing to the head of the list 1, and this is just a pointer pointing to the head of the list. So what I have done, I have make a two temporary what we say pointers, and I have pointed these pointers to the head of the list 1 as well as to the head of the list 2. Okay, now I will be declaring one more pointer which is going to be temp3, and this will be pointing to the first node of our dummy list, which is dummy node. Okay, so this will be pointing to dummy node. So now we are all set up. Now what we were going to do, we are going to um, continue our procedure. We are going to continue our loop until unless either temp1 or temp2 or both will be pointing to the null. Or simply what I mean to say when the list 1 is when either list 1 ends or list 2 end, then we will be stop our loop. Okay, so let's declare a while loop. While um, temp1 is not equal to null, um, and temp2 is not equal to null. So when either of these two will become null, then we will be coming out of this loop. Now inside this loop, what we are going to do, we are going to compare among these two lists uh, data in which list is minimum. Okay, so we are going to compare if data in temp1, data in a node which temp1 is pointing to. Okay, so temp1 का data is less than temp2 data, then we are going to store the temp1 in our dummy list, or simply I can say I'm going to point my I'm going to point the next of a dummy list to the uh, temp1. Okay, so what I'm going to do, going to point my dummy list, dummy node next will be equal to temp1. Okay, and after this I'm going to increase my pointer 1, I'm going to increase my temp1 by 1, like temp1 will be equals to temp1 next, and temp3 will be equal to temp3 next. Or simply here I should have written temp3 because I was using temp3 for traversing my dummy list. Okay, so this is what we had to do. Now if so, if the data in the node of the temp1 is greater than data in the node of the temp2, then what we are going to do, we are going to do the same thing with the temp2. Okay, so simply let's copy paste it. I'm going to point my temp3 next to temp2, and I'm going to increase my temp to by 1, and I'm going to increase my temp 3 by 1. Okay, so this is all what we have done. Now this loop will continue until any of these two pointers does not become null. Okay, now when any of these two pointer will become null, then what we have to do, it is the man there's so much probability that we will be finding such cases where uh, only temp 1 will become null, or only temp 2 will become null. Oh, it's temp 1. Okay, so these cases will also be there. So then what happened, we will, like, let's suppose temp 1 will become null. So we have traversed all the nodes of the temp 1, but few nodes of the temp 2 will be remaining in this case. Then we have to store these nodes also in our dummy list, which we are going to return. Then what we are going to do for this, we are going to check um, which one is null, or we are going to check if there are a few more remaining nodes in any of these two lists. Then we are going to store these nodes also in our dummy list, which we are going to return. Okay, so we are going to check if uh, temp 1 is not null or not. So until temp 1 is not null, we are going to store all the remaining nodes of temp 1 in our dummy list. Then, so what we are going to do, of course, we are going to repeat the same procedure. I mean, this one. If temp 1 is not null, then we are going to store all the remaining nodes of temp 1 in temp 3. Like I have pointed my temp 3 next with temp 1, same procedure. And I'm going to check if there are few nodes remaining within temp 2, which we haven't traversed yet. Then we are going to store all the remaining nodes of temp 2 in our dummy list. Okay. So after doing all this, the final thing which we have to do is to return our dummy list next node. Okay, because the as I have told you in the starting also, that we are storing one garbage value in the first node of the dummy list, because uh, in the initial state we don't have anything to store. So I have stored a garbage value which was -1 in the first node of the dummy list. So the first node of the dummy list is not in our use, or we don't have to return the first node. So we will be starting from the next of the first node to return dummy list next. Okay, this was our solution. um, what's the error? The definition of temp 2 column loose, where is the error? It's temp 3, bro. Temp 1 data is less than temp 2 data. Oh, so here they are calling data as a value. So we have to write value in place of data wherever we have written data. So just replace all data with value. Are you, if you can see data somewhere else also? No, I think I have covered. Mm, temp 3. Again, one more error here. These syntax error are temp 3 next. Because I have copied this code now. These many set of lines of code I have copied from the same thing, so I will be finding the same error again and again. The main node. It was dummy node now. Yes, it was. Now I guess there won't be any error. As you can see, our answer is accepted and the submission. Okay, so our submission is accepted also. So let's discuss our solution one more time. So from the very starting, what I was doing, I was making a dummy list. The first node of which we are calling dummy node. Okay. So for now, we don't have anything to store in our dummy list. So we have only made one node in our dummy list, and we are storing one garbage value in our very first node of the dummy list because right now we don't have anything to return. Okay. So this was our dummy list, and in this dummy list we are going to store the elements from the list one and from the list two, or you can simply say we are going to store the nodes from list one and nodes from list two in a sorted order. So what we are going to do, we are going to compare the node data in the node of the list one and data in the node of the list two. So for traversing list one and list two, we have made two pointers which we were calling temp1 and temp2, and for traversing the dummy list which we have made, we have declared a pointer which is temp3. Okay. So what I was doing, I was running a while loop which will continue until either of the temp1 or temp2 will become null. Okay, because if either of these two lists, either the pointer pointing to the node of these two lists will become null, then how we will be comparing this statement like which we have written? Because if temp1 is null, then value of null is nothing, so we will not be able to compare this thing and we will get an error. So that's why I'm running this loop only if the node of only if the pointer temp1 and temp2 are not pointing to null. Okay. So now inside this loop, what I'm doing, I'm just comparing, like let's start from here. Okay, I will be explaining you through this example. And let's suppose our temp1 is pointing to 1 and our temp2 is pointing to 1 also. Okay, in this list. Okay, so now I will compare. Now I will compare if one is get if temp value in temp1, like my temp1 is pointing to this, so if value in temp1 which is 1 is less than the value in temp2, my temp2 is this, so is so 1 is less than 1, so we can see here 1 is equals to 1, so we will go in our else statement. Oh, so in else what we have to do, we have to point our temp3 next to temp2, like the second node which so this, what does this simply mean? This simply means the second node which we are going to store in our dummy node will be the temp2. Okay, so this one, as you can see, this is the node which we are going to store in our dummy list, and we are increasing the our temp3 pointer by 1, and we are increasing our time to 0.1 because we have stored this node. So now we are not going to talk about this again. Now we are moving toward 3. So our temp 1 is in 3 now, and our temp 2 is in 3, and our temp 1 is 1. Okay, now again I'm going to compare, is 1, okay, again I'm going to compare, is 1 is less than 3 or not? So of course 1 is less than 3, so again I will be there in an else loop. Now what I have to do, I have to store no, if 1 is less than, okay, so if 1 is less than 3, then I will go in, if I will execute these many lines of statements. I'll say I have to increase, I have to point my temp3 next to temp1, like I have to store 1 in the next node of my dummy list, and I have to increase the temp1 by 1, and I have to increase my I have to increase my temp 3 by 1. So now we can say our temp 1 is here in pointing toward 2, our temp 2 is pointing toward 3, and we have added 2 node in our dummy list. Now again I'll check if 2 is less than 3, so of course 2 is less than 3. So we will add 2 in our dummy list, and we will point our temp 1 to 4. Now I'll check if 4 is less than 3. So no, 4 is not less than 3. So I will be adding 3 in my dummy list, and I will move to put 4. Now I will check if 4 is less than 4. So of course both are same. Then I will be adding both these in my dummy list. So this way I will be getting this list which is in sorted order, because we have stored each an element by comparing. So we are getting the list which is sorted. So this way I was implementing my question. So this was the complete explanation and solution of the question. merging two shorted lists. So if you are facing any issue or having any query related to the question, then feel free to ask in comment box. Thank you so much.